This is FSPN, the most trusted name in fake news. My name is Frankie from Flatbush. It is high. It is far. It is Friday, January the 2nd, 2026. Yes, we made it all the way to 2026. In this channel, we talk about the Jets, the NFL. We make some jokes. We talk about the media. So if you're down with that agenda, please subscribe to the channel to support truly independent media content creation and somebody who will criticize the media at, I would say, significant risk. You never want to pick a fight with people who buy ink by the barrel, they say. But we do it here on this channel anyway because it needs to be done. Somebody needs to hold these jokers accountable. Okay, what's going on with the Jets and the media and everything else? Well, it's Friday before the last game of the year as the Tankathon has begun. And we had one of the last media press conferences, I think probably Sunday. I don't think they talk on Monday. Black Monday is coming. And I don't think they talk to the media, so I think the press conference after the game Sunday will be the last one of the year, ladies and gentlemen. So probably won't see Aaron Glenn until the owners' meetings or something. So it's all over. It's kind of amazing how fast it's gone. But we got a Friday presser. Any media shenanigans? Not really. I think they've all given up on the shenanigans for now. They know it's all over. They know he's safe. So for now, so they're not pulling out any tricks. Now, one of the things that you heard from AG today, Friday, the 2nd of January in the year of our Lord, 2026, was you could hear it in his voice that he's now all about the offseason. I think he has now realized the gravity of the situation that he is in. I think he thought he could, kind of get a mulligan year. Sort of like, let us try this and figure it out. I think he knows it's serious business now in terms of we got to get some wins. So in other words, I think he's thinking pretty heavily about the restocking of the roster. You're not going to be able to elevate a terrible roster with just coaching, which is what we were told by people like Zach Rosenblather and Country Club Connor Hughes. Those nitwits. Meanwhile, we here at FSPN were telling you, no, here's the roster. We would show the roster. Here it is compared to the other teams in the AFC East, and we have the least amount of talent. Even the Patriots. Now, the Patriots had a very bad roster going into last offseason, but they spent a ton of money, and they drafted really well, and they got it to where they were better than us. And look what happened. Now, a lot of that's Drake May, but still, the point being, the roster was not good enough. This coaching staff was not going to elevate anybody. And very few coaching staffs do outside of the quarterback position, really there. But that's where we are, and I think you could hear in his voice that he's realized that. Now, what I've said all season is Aaron Glenn the greatest head coach of all time? No. Is he a great coach? No. Is he a good head coach? No. Not right now. But the point is, you can't fire him yet. And if you're a true Jet fan, some of these people in the media, including the independent media, like your Joe Badingo, whatever his name is, Joe Beningo? Well, I feel like that's wrong. Joe Bading Dong, whatever his name is. The guy who does the rants. I'm going to rant. Look at this ranting I'm going to do. Do you think Joe Bading Dong really wants to have the Jets ever win? No. They don't, because if they did, if the Jets ever became a model franchise and just started winning all the time, playoffs, Super Bowl contention, all this, those people would lose their power, status, and money, and nobody ever wants to lose power. One of the rules in life is everybody wants more power and nobody wants less. So all the rational people, crazy people might have different opinions, but all the rational people always want more power. And the way he and a lot of these people who put a rant in the title of their videos every time the Jets lose, a rant. I'm going to rant. Look at me ranting. It's sort of like the rant model of money generation. You have these independent media people now doing it too, and so we got to call them out. Yeah, there's so many jerk-offs around here. It's like you got to call them all out, Frankie. Yeah, better watch your back, Frankie. But these people, they don't really want the Jets to win, because then there goes their power out the door. But if you are a real Jet fan and you really want them to win and be consistent winners, what you want and need is for Aaron Glenn to evolve and develop into a good head coach. Is he that now? No. Is he a good coach? Yeah. Yeah. He's a good coach, but a head coach is something entirely different, and that's why so many fail in that regard. But we have to hope he can develop into that. And I think there are some signs. We're going to do a mini review as we bring up the docket here. I always forget to bring up the docket. I should put it on screen to start with. Got a docket. We got a ticker. We got a logo switcher. We got a docket. We got everything going on over here on FSPN. Budget $0. No producers, no executive assistants, no employees. It's just old Frankie. The most shady. The feds hate me. Frankie baby. Now let's go. What's going on with the media? So you could hear in his voice that he now knows where he's at in terms of this and what the fans are going to put up with and not put up with. And he needs to have a big offseason. And I think we will. Now, the big question is going to be the quarterback, but I think on everything else we're going to spend big. And we might spend foolishly. But I think what AG is going to do, he's going to say, hey, Woody, look at what your buddy that you wanted to hire before me, Mike Vrabel, I made him out of clay. Vrabel, pair him with Drake May and win Super Bowls. Look what the Patriots did. We go off on rants here, sorry. If you don't like the ranting, we do our own ranting, but it's like comedic ranting. We don't go on rant about the Jets losing. I'm mad that we lost. We do go on our own little, I wouldn't call it, well, sometimes we go on a rant, but a lot of times it's just a tangent. If you don't like the tangents, leave. If you do like the tangents, give a thumbs up and subscribe down below. Free to subscribe. Okay, what are we talking about? Oh, we need to, Glenn's going to say to Woody, look at what the Patriots did. They had all the success. They're going to the playoffs. They might go to the Super Bowl. Who knows? Drake May's that good. But he will say to Woody, look at all the money they spent. Morgan Moses and Stephon Diggs and Spillane and all these people that they spend all this money on. Milt Williams, a lot of people. They went on a spending spree. And look at the results they got. So we now need to go on our own spending spree, which I think we will, and we got plenty of room to do it. No problem. Don't fall for the media bullshit about dead cap. Yeah, we got some dead cap. It's not a problem. So we will, I think, if we could land a guy like Linderbaum, yes, we will overpay for him, yes. But will it be worth it? Yes. Yes. If you pay $22-23 million, is that a good idea for a center? Not normally, but if you can get the second best center in football onto the Jets, you're going to have to pay a Jets tax. Sorry. And will it be an overpay? Yes, but will it be worth it? I think so. For example, but there's lots of people we're going to have to get. There's going to be a lot more spending this year than last year, in my opinion. I think that Glenn and Muji learned that lesson. You can't just sign a bunch of tomato cans and expect them to be lifted up by the coach. That's not going to happen. You got to sign. If you want players who can tackle, you need to sign good tacklers. That's it. Doesn't matter what archaic fucking drill you do in training camp. You're not going to turn poor tacklers into good tackle. Just sign the people who can tackle fucking people. That's it. Just acquire them. We're going to run an Oklahoma drill. It's not going to work. These people are who they are. This isn't high school. So I think he's going to say, look, that's what the Patriots did. That's what we need to do. Then they'll do that, and then they'll make a decision about the quarterback. That'll be the biggest intrigue of the whole offseason. We won't know about that until everything's played out, so we got a few months to go. There'll be lots of speculation and all this, but it's probably Malik Willis, let's be honest. So then they'll do that, and we'll have a restocked roster. We'll see how they do. The other thing about this press conference was the injuries. Mason Taylor, Xavier Newman, Isaiah Davis, Quantez Stiggers, Michael Clemens, and Jelani Woods all out. It kind of, out of all those people, Jelani Woods is a guy that's kind of disappointing. He didn't get any playing time this year until the last couple of games. He finally caught a pass after he hadn't gotten any touches of the football since like 2022. So he has stayed healthy for the most part, but now he's out. So he's probably not being retained, if I had to guess. But we could retain Stone Smart, tight end 3, another guy who didn't get much playing time. He got some Garbaggio time these last few games, caught a few passes. Fine. He looks bigger than what he was when you saw the highlights with the Chargers. Maybe he's a re-sign candidate. But we also may get to see Nick Muse, so something to watch for on Saturday. With all these people out and not on IR, we're going to have to elevate a bunch of people from the P Squad. And one of them is going to be almost certainly Nick Muse. And so we may see a Nick Muse sighting. And that's exciting. So that's what's going on with the presser. Now, for number 2, let's do an age. So we're talking about what AG kind of felt like in the press conference with his mood and the way he was answering the questions. Feels like he's sort of already transitioned to the offseason and kind of feeling the heat about, all right, you better restock this roster with talent because we're going to have to win some games here. The fans are, it's like that commercial. It's like that Dr. Pepper commercial with the college football team. They go to the coach's house and they're holding signs that say "Coach better," and the coach is like, "We won on Saturday. What are you talking about?" "Yeah, but we didn't win by enough. We're not even winning the games." So it's going to be like that. Let's review. And like I said, we want AG to develop into a good head coach. But what did he do right and wrong? Let's do a little mini review. Glenn what did he get correct? Well, he nailed special teams. Chris Banjo, Coach O'Day, excellent. Check that off. Glenn, maybe. Tanner Engstrand, I think he's a maybe. You look at what Matt Harmon says about the route concepts and some of the things, very positive. So maybe. Tanner Engstrand's a maybe. And so that's good. So we got basically 2 out of 3 were, maybe Banjo was in the green, Engstrand's in the yellow, Wilkes is in the red. And maybe what he does with Engstrand, he finds a new quarterback coach. Maybe we tinker around, probably just a new quarterback coach. Obviously, on the defense, there's a lot of people who are in trouble in terms of probably being fired. Let's be honest. Not that we want this to happen, but the defense performed so poorly. And Steve Wilkes is primarily responsible, along with Glenn. So hopefully he fixes this. But, people like Eric Washington, the linebacker coach, Coach Curry, Dre Bly, those people are probably in trouble, let's be honest. And it'll be a fascinating process to see what we do in that decision. If we go with Brian Flores, let's say things line up for us and we get Flores, be a home run hire, obviously. But he runs a 3-4 amoeba-style front, which is not typically what Glenn likes to run, but it would be interesting. And the same thing with Wink Martindale. Now, I think it's been officially it's now official that he's not coming back with Michigan, if I'm not mistaken. I know they hired the offensive coordinator. Pretty sure that old Whittingham's going to hire his own defensive coordinator, not go with Winky Dink. So I'm just looking to see if there's been any breaking news. There has not. But I'm pretty sure he's going to be a free agent. And Wink Martindale is similar to Brian Flores. They run the same thing, essentially. And so Martindale is probably more realistic. And why would he come to the Jets? Well, he gave an interview recently as Michigan was ushered of their bowl game with a loss, as old Arch Manning ran for 155 yards. By the way, people who get excited about quarterback running, it's not a red flag, but it's like a yellow flag. Like, running's nice, it's good. If you're athletic, it's fine. It's a good trait to have. But if all these people, there's a lot of arch bots out there, by the way, in case you didn't know, who are making money one way or another from promoting Arch Manning. Because corporate America is now involved. He makes so much money. Corporate America is involved, which means PR people are involved. Agents are involved. the shaping of public perception of said brand, which is what Arch Manning is now, is involved. And so all of the shit that comes along with all of that is now part of Arch Manning, which is kind of annoying on social media, to be honest. But if you're just looking at it from a purely football standpoint, running's fine. But if people are, kind of like celebrating a guy because he runs a lot, there's not a lot of NFL quarterbacks who can just run a lot and have nice long careers and win multiple Super Bowls. Eventually, the injuries just catch up to you. There's very few. Only Josh Allen. Allen has had a few minor nicks and bruises and bumps and bruises over the years, but for the most part, been healthy. And he's like the only one that stays healthy and wins. Now, he hasn't won any Super Bowls yet, so you might think about that, but especially if he never does get one in his career, but that'd be weird. He's going to get one. But that's the exception to the rule. These guys all get hurt, whether it's Kyler Murray or it's Jaden Daniels or it's whoever it is. They all get injured. So it's not a bad thing to run around, but you shouldn't be celebrating that. What you should be celebrating is a high-level quarterback play where a guy is processing at a high level, going through his progressions, finding the open man, delivering the ball from muddy pockets. That's what you want. Because that's what you need to do in the NFL. When you're looking at it from an NFL point of view, which is the way I look at it, I'm an unpaid jet scout. I'm not an unpaid regular old scout. For example, Trinidad Chambliss now is getting a lot of hype, and he might be a good NFL player, but he's very small, and he runs around a lot, and that's not what the Jets need, for sure. I don't think it generally works in the NFL anyway, but for the Jets, no. We just tried a guy, Justin Fields. That didn't work. We need a pocket passer, high-functioning guy who can process information very quickly with his brain and then make the decisions, throw the ball from the pocket, boom, just distribute. Anyway, I'm not sure why we got off on that tangent, but it'll be interesting to see if we hired like a B-Flow or a Winky Dink, then it would be a 3-4 coming in, and then that would have an impact on the roster. You'd see a lot more linebackers being acquired and a lot fewer defensive linemen, for example. Glenn, improvement. I would say he's improved with game management and just comfort with, managing the game. There were some rough spots this year, and they should have been expected. It's a first-timer, just like everybody else other than Adam Gase, since Bill Parcells is a first-timer. And that's what we do because we all know why. So you can't expect him to be perfect right out of the box. A lot of people were just thinking this guy's going to be perfect right out of the box. I don't know why. Your first time on the job, such a big job as a head coach of a National Football League team, you're not going to be perfect right out of the box. Now, so I think his game management and comfort has improved. He's going to have to take a look at Coach Berger. So we have a Coach Berger who's our game management coach. Maybe some things were his fault or not. I don't know. It has to be evaluated. But he could be in trouble. Coach Berger is somebody who has 35 years of experience in the NFL, most of it with the Giants. He also worked for the league office. But he's old. He's a very old guy. He has 35 freaking years of experience. Now that's good. I think we tried to hire experienced people wherever we could. For example, Coach Banjo on special teams, we paired him with Coach O'Day. Well, Coach O'Day has like 25 years of experience in the league. So wherever we had inexperience, we tried to paper over with an experienced guy next to the guy. Some areas it worked, some areas it didn't work, obviously. But it was a good process and thought process anyway. But Glenn, good. So there might be so we might move on from Coach Berger. We might not. Maybe he did really good, and Glenn will be happy with him. Glenn, good. Player acquisitions with Mooj. So player acquisitions after the summertime when Mooj got all of the people in place in the front office that he wanted, both he and Glenn responsible for all those trades. I would say every one of the trades was excellent. And so player acquisition has been good since the end of the summertime. But... and we already mentioned all the coaches who could be fired. All right. So on to the next point. Lastly, on this Friday, January the 2nd, around the football world. So as we're sitting here on Friday, the big things are, of course, the college football playoff. Indiana over Alabama, Oregon over Texas Tech, Ole Miss over Georgia. Ole Miss and Georgia was the one exciting game from Thursday's slate. And if you are a member of this channel, you already got the grades for the relevant quarterbacks in those games. So if you want to become a member of this channel, you click the join button down below. We got different price levels. Lowest price level, $2 a month. Very simple and easy. Go ahead and join it, and you get all of the grading of all of the college quarterbacks. We grade just the throws. Grade the throws, be in the know, avoid the jobs of snow is the way we look at it. When you grade the throws, it kind of disciplines you into understanding what kind of player this is going to be in the NFL. Now, if they can run around, that's great. Athleticism, you just make a note of it. It doesn't really change game to game. What does change game to game is how they throw the ball. And we have a very specific way we grade them. And so it enables you to block out the noise and know who's actually has a chance to be good at the next level and who should be thrown out in terms of this guy doesn't have a chance. But the members already have those grades. So if you want to be a member, get grades like that, plus a bunch of other stuff as well. Click the little join button down below of this video. So that's the big thing. And today being January the 2nd, the transfer portal is open, so we're getting a lot of portal information. Who's in the portal? Who's going to the NFL draft? For example, Texas, this is just breaking now, as of 20 seconds ago. Breaking news on FSPN. Per Pete Thamel, the man, the myth, the legend, Pete Thamel. Texas tight end Jack Andrews is entering the NFL draft. He's Mel Kiper's number 3 ranked tight end for 2026, Cal transfer. Flashes explosion and versatility. So Jack Andrews, tight end, into the draft. So we're getting all sorts of news like that. Who's going into the portal? Who's going into the draft? And as we should be getting more and more information about all these teams that lost in the playoff here sooner or later. Nothing really exciting. I don't care about all this portal news, but it is some people re-signing with their old teams, some going into the portal. There's like 4,500 players entering the portal. 4,500. That is crazy. They really got to fix this calendar in college sports. That's the number one thing. The number one issue, I think, in college football is the calendar. They got to fix that. A lot of people going back to their schools, blah, blah, blah. So we'll see who else comes out and stuff like that. But as of right now, that's really the big news. As far as the NFL is concerned, we got a couple of games tomorrow. So for example, Brendan Sorsby, Jets Chaos was asking me about Brendan Sorsby. He's going back to school, for example. Very toolsy guy. He's visiting Texas Tech and LSU. Now, the thing to know about Sorsby, his girlfriend plays volleyball or something like that, and she's going to Texas Tech, so he's probably going to Texas Tech. Odds are probably just using LSU for leverage to get more money out of Texas Tech. You got to get that Mahomes money. Like Sam Levitt looks like he's going to Kentucky, so forth and so on. So all this college maneuvering, it's sort of like free agency period right now for college football. So that's really the big news there. And as far as the NFL goes, the season's winding down. We've got one more weekend of games. And once these games are played, then we'll know where people stand. And then Monday comes and we'll know who survives Black Monday and who does not survive Black Monday. And then once we know that, then we'll know who needs to be replaced, who's staying in place. And then all sorts of speculation can begin as we talk about the offseason. Very important offseason, I would say, for the Jets. Very important offseason for the Jets and for Aaron Glenn in particular. I think he's finally realizing the gravity of the situation he's in and the urgency of getting some wins on the board. And so this who it is that we get at quarterback. How's that going to play out? Where are we picking in the draft? What are we willing to trade? Who do we want to trade with? Does Pete Carroll get fired from the Raiders? And if so, who then do they hire? And do they really want to drop a rookie into that situation? I would think if I were the Raiders, as we talk about NFL Roundup, the Raiders, if I look at the Raiders, they have no talent. Very, very, the roster's in terrible shape. So do you really want to drop a quarterback into that? Considering you could fill, you have a bridge available. His name is Geno Smith. You probably still have Kenny Pickett under contract, or maybe not. But in any case, you could acquire some other bridge like Mariota or whoever you want. And then fill up the roster with talent, see how you do, and then go for the quarterback in 27, when you could have the free agent period this time, the draft, then the free agent period again, and then draft your quarterback. Basically, 3 bites at the apple to increase the talent level on the roster. You have like 4 players on the whole team, the Raiders do. Brock Bowers and Michael Mayer's pretty okay, but Bowers a superstar, okay. Colton Miller, really good right tackle. All right. Max Crosby, who is very unhappy, but if he's still there, he's a superstar. Okay. And Ashton Genty, good player. Other than that, what do you got? You got nada. Not a mooch. So how are you going to drop any rookie quarterback into that situation? When the reality is you should go through this free agency, then the draft, and then the next free agency, and then take the quarterback plus the rest of that draft. And then that quarterback, if you do it right, you will have much better talent to work with. And in 27, there could be up to 5 or 6 first-round quarterbacks. Don't forget, if Dante Moore goes back, there's at least 5 that could come out. Sayan, Carr, Moore, Sellers, and Manning. Those are 5 very high-profile QBs that are almost certainly coming out in 27 unless, something weird happens. There's also a bunch of other dudes like Sorsby and, other guys. Hoover, a bunch of them. So why not do that? Everybody's talking about get Mendoza for the Raiders. And it's like, all right, but that's not a great situation to put any rookie quarterback into. So it'll be interesting to see how Spytek and Brady and Mark Davis, the grown boy man. What's up with Mark Davis anyway? What's up with that haircut? The man, first of all, it looks like he's wearing a mask at all times. And then second of all, he has a little boy bowl haircut. What is that? What grown man has a little boy bowl haircut? Something weird going on there. We need a Pablo Torre finds out investigation into Mark Davis's haircut. So that's the news for this Friday, January the 2nd, 2026. I am your faithful correspondent, Frankie from Flatbush. The feds hate me. The most shady, Frankie baby. I'll see you next time.